everyone. Welcome to Mostly Wrong Opinions. I am Tyrone. That gentleman right there is Devin. And what we're about to get into first is our Kobe coin. Hold on. Shoot. That is not it. I can't find it.
You can't find the Kobe coin?
No.
Oh, shit.
Where'd it go?
Damn, Tyrone, since you lost the Kobe coin, what we gonna do?
I don't know.
Have you seen any movies lately?
A little, not many.
What'd you seen? Anything on Netflix?
Nah. No, that sucks.
Hulu?
Just Rick and Morty.
Haven't seen that. Amazon Prime?
Tomorrow War.
Yeah, we ain't gonna talk about that. We're done with that one. I saw Werewolves Within. Have you seen that?
Yeah!
Should have packed our snowshoes.
What? People do that?
You know, fun fact, not only is it the oldest, but remains one of the most effective means of traversing the ice.
Wow. Yeah, you're gonna fit right in at Beaverfield. Everything here is a little questionable.
This movie is based off a 2016 video game. And it's a
VR video game. It's directed by a guy named Josh Rubin, who also is a comedian, but I knew him, or at least I recognized him from college humor videos. You know, they were popular like a million years ago.
We're just two tourists, not looking for proton packs.
No.
Or copper wiring.
No.
When I was in the theater, I live in Atlanta, and I went to the famous Plaza Theater, the oldest theater to date that's still in Atlanta, Georgia, built in 1939.
I love that theater.
It's a great theater, you know, and used to be, I'm not gonna say. Anyway.
Yeah, it used to, it's got a past. But you talked about how it's a limited release and how you have to go to kind of a mom and pop theater. I did too. I went to a theater here in Brooklyn called the Nighthawk, which is a much smaller theater than, like you said, the AMC's and stuff like that. And I think because it is a limited release, I think that's actually to its advantage, because you do get kind of an intimate feel with this movie. It is almost like watching the movie with like a small group of friends.
It is, and I enjoyed it being on the big screen than it being released on a streaming service or anything like that.
I agree with that.
With all the other competition that's out there on a streaming service, you know, where this gets a private setting with you and your friends, your buddies that knows this type of world of indie movies and indie comedy movies. So I really enjoyed it. When I was watching it, I could not help to think of Edgar Wright. I could not help but think. I could not help be like, that's an Edgar Wright shot. That's an Edgar Wright shot. It's like,
and it kind of has that same Edgar Wright like tempo too, and the same kind of humor that he likes to put in his movies too, which is very difficult to describe. But it's like it feels like everything's like improv, but I don't think it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got kind of that like off the cuff snappy thing.
Yeah, like when,
I agree.
When he got the mail and he threw the mail and he's like, not trying to litter or anything, but you know.
Right.
So this movie follows a gentleman. What was his name?
The main character's name was Finn Wheeler, which is funny because I guess Finn is what they're gonna call all black characters now.
Right.
Moving forward.
What's your name? FN2187. Finn, I'm gonna call you Finn. Is that all right? Finn. Yeah.
Exactly, Finn Wheeler. He's a ranger in another state, and he's also there on like kind of recommendation from his girlfriend, because him and his girlfriend's going through like an issue, and he's
right. He seemed that he got in trouble at his original town where he was, and so he's been forced to go to Beaverfield, which is like the super small town, kind of corny, beaver themed, middle of nowhere, snowy town.
Yeah. And he's very proper, very nice, very well-mannered man. And he comes there, and this whole town is weird as hell. Okay.
And him being so nice, it kind of set me up to think that maybe his arc would be that he would learn to be tougher or rude, but that was a little bit of a fake out, which I thought was smart.
Yeah, he was proper like the whole time through the movie. He was very well mannered, and he's like, I'm a ranger, yeah, you know.
Right, and, he was.
But it shows him going to this this lodge, this hotel lodge, and the woman there, she's very, very nice, hospitable, and there's a rich guy that wants to put a pipeline through Beaverfield. They're arguing about that at the counter over there.
And this was a little bit of another. Again, it's light spoilers, light spoilers. We're not gonna get in spoilers here, but this was another kind of a setup where I thought that would be a lot more important than it ultimately was. So the movie is pretty smart. We talked about Josh Rubin, who I think also helped write it. Mm-hmm. But the main writer of this film is this woman named Misha Wolf. Misha Wolf. And so they set up all these kind of like red herrings, right? Like you said, they've got this oil baron guy who wants to build a pipeline, and you're like, oh, clear villain. And it kind of flips your expectations a bit.
Yeah, because it makes you think, yeah, that's a clear villain, but then you go and meet different people that's in the town, because the male woman, the male person, as she likes to be called, she is like asking him to come along and help him to help her take this package to this crazy guy up on the hill. Okay. Mm-hmm. And when they're doing that, he's in his outfit, got his hat on and everything, and he's meeting these people. He meets these two gay couple. This gay couple that's like owns this yoga shop, and
they're rich, which is really funny because the town is kind of like Midwestern-y kind of feeling, blue collary, but they're like rich tech guys. Which
you were gonna say really rich, but I was gonna say rude.
Oh, rude! Yeah. Oh, they were rude too, but they were also rich. They had that joke where they're like, "We're not millionaires," and the one's like, "Yeah, we are millionaires." Like, really? It's like,
yeah. And then you go down the street from them, and you meet these clear Trump supporters. They're clear Trump supporters. Right. Mm-hmm. And the dude, the husband is creepy. He's up there trying to hug the male person, the girl, and he's like, "Oh my God, what?" And she's like, "No, thank you." and then his wife is weird because she has this little dog that she's connected to. Those people have a problem with the liberal gay rich people over there, and then you meet the trailer park trash versions there. It's so fucking outlandish. They are ridiculous. I can't even describe some of the things that they say.
Yeah, there's like the movie goes like beat by beat, introducing us to all of these like super colorful, borderline cartoonish, but that's in a positive way. I don't mean that in a negative way. They're very colorful, kind of cartoonish, funny characters that populate the town of Beaverfield. Yeah.
He meets every person in this town, and there's a werewolf around.
Right. The inciting event is the dog that you described earlier goes missing, and it seems like the dog has been eaten, and then the generators are torn up, and so they're like, oh, there's some sort of wild animal out. So this whole cast of characters, they have to like hole up in this hotel while a werewolf seems to be stalking them. Lo
and behold, that's not the truth. Okay. There's some things going on with these characters when they're locked up within this house. Now, in this house, people, is a weird, kooky professor. This professor looks like she doesn't show no compassion for anybody.
And they talked about her earlier because they put her in opposition of the oil guy. They're like, oh, we've got some kind of like super scientist, environmentalist person here in the hotel, and the oil guy's like, ugh. So you're like, oh, okay. So these characters who are locked in together, they some of them are opposed to one another. They have different motivations, so on and so forth. So the character dynamics, I think, were established early on, and they were really good.
And by the end of the movie, I'm not going to spoil it or anything. There's a key line that's in here that explains why said person or being or thing did what they did, because the whole town is pit up against each other and against each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Which makes it so much easier for the bad things to happen.
Yeah, and the movie played with, again, you talk about the movie playing with expectations. The movie first established that there was a werewolf, and then it started to question as to whether or not there was a werewolf at all. As to maybe it was just the townsfolk, trying to hurt each other. Because again, there's a pipeline coming in. Some people want the pipeline, some people don't. And it seems like some of the people locked into the lodge are key members of the society who would decide whether or not the pipeline goes in or not. So you're like, oh, okay. So maybe there isn't even a werewolf at all, or then maybe there is one. So it goes on for quite a while as whether or not something supernatural is happening or not, which I think it was really smart in my opinion. I thought the movie was a lot smarter than I was anticipating.
I was anticipating this film to be also like a whodunit, like a Clue, type of movie. Mm-hmm. Or Knives,
kind of like Knives Out or something.
Knives Out, but I don't know. Knives Out was directed and written beautifully by Rian Johnson. So
yeah, that was a great movie. Same guy who did The Last Jedi, by the way.
I don't know. There was some type of language that went through my ears. I don't know what type of language that was. But anyway,
you can. It might be my microphone. I don't know. Weird.
So,
because if you heard me, you might have to acknowledge that Rian Johnson's actually a really good director. But it's a good thing you didn't hear anything I wrote.
Another language that people don't understand. So, gotta stop doing that, bro. Now, it had beats of that, and it did not reveal nothing. Like, they didn't reveal anything till the last moment. Not even a hint of what, this person like could be like, oh, we knew from all along. Like, if we go back to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we knew who the power broker was.
Power broker.
Immediately.
Yeah. Exact. The second we knew who the power broker was before they even said the word power broker. You brought up the word the name power broker before the show did.
Exactly. I was like, wait a minute. This person's selling this stuff. I was like, that has to be the power broker. Then boom, we saw a person. I'm like, that's gotta be the power broker.
But like you said, this movie didn't really do that. It really did keep you guessing for quite a long time. Because at first I was like, oh, okay, there's a werewolf. Is the werewolf in the house? Is the werewolf outside the house? Then you're like, oh, okay. It seems like the werewolf might be in the house. Who in the house is the werewolf? And then you're like, oh, wait, is there even a werewolf at all? Maybe there's no werewolf. Maybe this is someone playing a game. It just, the movie kept like shifting. And I thought that it was a lot slipperier in a good way than I thought it was.
It's very competently directed in the same style as Edgar Wright, like I said earlier. The acting was comically done well.
But I was going to mention the acting because this is the second movie we saw with Sam Richardson back to back, and I thought this was a much better showcase of his acting capabilities and his humor than Tomorrow War.
Tomorrow War, he was annoying.
Yeah, his character was annoying, but he was endearing in this movie. Yeah, there's a character where they seem to have like a flirty type of thing going on, and you're like, oh, is he gonna get with that character? But doesn't he have a girlfriend? And it's it's kind of like an interesting I guess love triangle type of deal. I really liked it, and I found myself kind of rooting for that relationship.
To tell you the truth, man, she was fine. She was fine. I was like, and she kept on wearing these low top shirts. I was like, but
that's the girl from the at&t commercial.
That is her. Man, she moved up in the world.
Yeah.
She did a great job in convincing me about the relationship that she has with each person in the town also. And it's just a bag of tricks in this movie, and these tricks don't leave you with a sense of like, why the heck did I come see this movie? Or it wasn't, it was a B type of movie. No, this movie, like a D type of movie or anything like that. This movie was up there in the ranking for me.
Yeah, and actually, I liked how the movie started. Like it set the tone really well. Like it had the scary music. then it had like the ominous quote, and you're like, oh, okay, this is gonna be a scary movie. Then the quote is by Mr. Rogers, and you're like, oh, okay. So it really set the tone really well. So it's like scary but funny, and that was very clever.
I say about roughly 20 people in the theater with me, because people, if you're gonna see this movie is not an AMC, it's not Regal Cinema, you know.
Right, it's a limited release film.
You're gonna have to go to your mom and pop theaters and stuff like that. It was about 20 people that's in the theater, and at that part in the beginning, the music was like, and it was like something about be friendly to your neighbor, and then it said,
right. Yeah, it goes.
Bro, we was all cracking up. We was like, "What the hell?" That is so really random. Funny. But I'm gonna go ahead and give my rating for Werewolves Within, with the comedy, with the direction that this is, because it has Edgar Wright feels to me. That Shaun of the Dead. That you like movies like Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and the World's End. It has that type of feel. So I'm giving this a 9, dude.
I'm with you. I really like the comedy. I like the actors. I like the directors. I like the writer. I think a lot of people might be pointing to this film, maybe in the future, for like some feature stars, either in front of the screen or behind it. I thought it was great. So I'm gonna give it. You know what? I'll give it a 9 too. I thought it was a really good film.
Yeah. People, this is probably going to be one of those cult classics when it comes out and be seen to the masses.
Yeah, and it's a movie based on a video game, which is not very common, and they're usually absolute garbage and trash, and this was quite refreshing. Now, to be fair, like we were saying earlier, it's kind of an obscure video game. It's not a game that I've played, and I bet you it's not a game most people have played, because it's a VR game for like Oculus and stuff like that. But still, it's based on a video game. I think they did a lot with it. And because it was excellent.
To take a video game as obscure as that and it's not well known, and it kind of works in its favor, because you don't have a big expectation of a Mortal Kombat or of a Tomb Raider and stuff like that. That you have this pressure upon your shoulders to be like, oh man, we got to get this character in Werewolves Within exactly right, and close to that type of aesthetic of the character, because the character in this movie is not one character. It's the town that's revolving around it. So
I agree. And also, I think the advantage of having a smaller video game like this, it feels like this movie, whoever wrote the Misha Wolf, when she wrote this film, and Josh Rubin, when he directed it, it seemed like they wanted to make a movie. They didn't want to make a video game movie or, some kind of, blank movie. They wanted to make just a movie. So they approached it, like you would a regular film.
Too.
Whereas yeah, exactly. Unlike say like Mortal Kombat, where they wanted to make a Mortal Kombat film. So they were so anxious to like hit these like video game beats, but they weren't really interested in hitting any of like the story beats, you know what I mean? So ultimately the movie was boring.
Exactly. And I'm gonna tell you guys this, people. And from now on, when these Mortal Kombats and all these other movies that come out and TV shows like The Last of Us come out and stuff like that, I'm going to be looking towards this type of film to be as a reference that they should have been looking towards. To be honest with you.
I agree. Yep, I agree with you.
But I gave it a 9. Devin gave it a 9 also. We agree. If you got a chance, go out there and see it at your local movie theater. See Werewolves Within.
All I'm asking is that you be a good neighbor. Like Mr. Rogers.
With guns, though.
With guns, yes.
And the next movie up on the chopping block is the movie that's out in the theaters recently. Marvel's Black Widow.
You don't know everything about me. I've lived a lot of lives before I was an Avenger, before I got this family.
This is Marvel's return to the big screen, and I
think it's officially the first film in Phase 4 for Marvel.
Yeah, it is. And I'm like, I thought we were already through with Phase 4.
It feels like, oh, you mean when you thought we were like in Phase 5 or something?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, apparently it's Phase 4. But I thought we were already in this in the middle of this phase, but that's because we've actually watched a lot of Marvel. We've watched a lot of Loki. We've watched a lot of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We watched WandaVision. So there's been a lot of Marvel stuff, but this is like the first film. And it's interesting because it's a prequel. So
it's a prequel, but this movie was actually people supposed to come out last year before all of these shows supposed to be released.
Yep, and you can tell. It's certainly at one spot in the end, which we will not spoil right here, because we're going to do low to no spoilers for now.
Yeah. This movie has a lot of action. In your face.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Action.
Oh, I got some eyes.
Damn, get it out.
I'm trying. Yeah, blow in there.
You remember when your mama come up to you and be like,
right.
"Get some of my eye." Remember that? Hold on, I got you.
My parents always did it. It was always a surprise. My dad would be like, "Let me see." And I'm like,
family.
Well, I think that's the point of the film, is that they are a family, even though they're not necessarily blood related.
Exactly. They spent a lot of time together. It's roots that to where, and it goes hand in hand when it comes to Natasha's family that's not really a family that's put together, but it also comes into terms where she's taught. The film brings in the Avengers family, you know.
Exactly. It ties into that family too, because there is a little bit, I guess it's a light debate in the film as to whether or not the Avengers are Natasha's family. Of course, she considers them to be her family, but that does come into play as to like, oh, where do your alliances lie? Are you a member of the Avengers family? Are you the member of this like Black Widow family? And I feel like the movie, again, super light to no spoilers, I feel like the movie kind of says she can be both. You know, the family is kind of what you make it. So generally, this movie is it's a prequel, and so as we all know, Black Widow died in Endgame. Is she about to did she die in Endgame? Yeah, in Endgame. Yep. She threw herself off the cliff in order to get the Soul Stone, and so but here this is a prequel. She's alive, and this movie takes place after Civil War, but before Infinity War. So it takes place in that spot where they're like on the run.
You just reminded me. Flashback to on Vilmore, the planet, and the Red Skull homie, seen Barton and Natasha. If you notice, they said something about a father, Natasha's father. I'm just gonna leave. Leave that
true.
there.
They did.
Natasha, daughter of Ivan.
Maybe he's making this shit up.
No. I don't think so.
Because he knows your dad's name?
I didn't.
They did. You're right. I'm just not remembering that.
People. When you watch this movie, when it's going through the family aspects of Natasha, where she was actually born and who her parents were, as compared to what that is, because it's just I don't want to say anymore.
Yeah, a little bit of a parallel. Yeah, but like I was saying, this movie takes place. I think the year is actually 2017, 2018 in this film. And currently in the Marvel Universe, it's 2023. Yeah, so it takes place between Civil War and Infinity War, and we find Natasha freshly on the run. Although what is interesting is I thought she was on the run with Captain America the whole time, but apparently she was not. So apparently she had a couple moments where she was I guess not by herself, but she was not with Captain America. And this is where we find out, more about her, more about the Red Room, more about the Black Widows. We learn that she's got a sister named Yelena. I can never pronounce her name. Her last name is like Belova. Yelena Belova.
Yelena Beloni.
Yeah. Played by Florence Pugh. Yeah, exactly. Played by Florence Pugh. And I thought she was awesome. I think Florence Pugh, like we said last week, I think she's got an Oscar in her future, and she killed it in this movie.
I mean, the best point of this movie when it comes to acting.
Yep.
In this, and she killed this movie.
She did, and from what I understand, when they were like trying to find someone to play this character, and they got Florence Pugh, they liked her so much that they expanded her role in the film to like showcase the character. So she's definitely a like center point in the film, right alongside Scarlett Johansson. They're almost equal in this film, which is
my second favorite character in this movie is David Harbour. He was funny.
Yep, he had a lot of the comedy beats, a lot of the funny lines. They were all almost exclusively his.
Yeah, he plays a character in this movie called the Red Guardian, and he is the Russian counterpart to Captain America.
It would seem he's got some sort of version of the super soldier.
And I don't know
sort of
how the hell he got it.
They don't explain it at all. But he seems to have a lot more strength and agility than you'd expect. So yeah, David Harbour is really good, and obviously most people know David Harbour from Stranger Things. So obviously he's got great comedic timing, and they use it to like the full advantage. But back to like a very general overview of the story here. We find Black Widow on the run. She gets in contact with her old Black Widow family, and she seems to be pursued by a mysterious character who is never named in the film, but we know this character as Taskmaster.
Now, and so in the comic books, Taskmaster's name is Tony Masters.
Yep.
Okay, and he doesn't have superpowers. He just have the ability to mimic the fighting style of anyone and remember and copy their fighting style to a T.
Yep, exactly. He is very much like the other. There's a couple like villains with like the same power set, and he kind of reminds me of the character Echo from Daredevil. She can do the exact same thing where she can just like copy everything you do. So, but this time we have Taskmaster, and this character, they've got like photographic memory, and they can copy any move you do. And Yelena was like, oh, it's like fighting a mirror. But I will say I was a little disappointed with Taskmaster because the character wasn't given nearly as much to do as I would have expected.
It wasn't. That was kind of one of the downfalls of this film. Taskmaster in the 2018 Spider-Man PS4 was a lot more intimidating.
Yeah. And from what I understand, I haven't played this game, but the Avengers game, Taskmaster has an even bigger role there too. So, and he fights, at least in the trailer that I saw, he was fighting Black Widow. So I was like, oh, okay. So they seem to be seeding something between these two characters. I haven't played that game, but I know that they have that Taskmaster's got a bigger role in that game than the character does in this film. Not
to say that he's a slouch in this movie or anything like that. It just wasn't. It wasn't believable because I'm not gonna spoil it. Okay, so
yeah, and I wasn't intimidated by Taskmaster. I was like, yeah, whatever. I know Black Widow survives this film, and again, this is to me, this is like a big problem with prequels. It's like that the character survives. She doesn't get maimed or hurt horrifically or something. So there's not a lot of stakes. I wasn't nervous for her at all.
I don't want to. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to interrupt you, but that's why one of the things that was happening to her in this film, you're like, no one can survive that. I was still on my Fast 9 tip on some things happening on this. I'm like, that's impossible, man.
Well, if you want, we can get into spoilers now, and we can go ahead and talk about those kind of things.
Okay, people. If you don't want to hear spoilers and you haven't seen Black Widow yet, cut off from this. Go see it. Come back to this point.
Yeah, just hit pause. Leave your computer open. Yeah, go to the movies. Come back.
All right. Spoilers from here on out, bro. When Taskmaster comes, the first time we see him, and comes through. And the rocket comes and hits the thing.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I guess she's dead now.
You dead. There's no Vilmar. There's no you sacrificing yourself for Barton and stuff like that. You dead right there. I'm like, how do you survive?
We talked about that kind of thing with Fast 9, right? Where in Fast 9, I thought it was acceptable because the tone was kind of cartoony, and I'm like, yeah, okay, that's acceptable. But when that rocket hit that car, I was like, maybe she's not in the car. Did she jump out or something? But no, she was just in the car and survived. And I'm like, what? So that does, to me, violate the tone. And I felt at the same the same feeling you did. I was like, oh, I guess she's alive now.
And that's one instance. Instance number 2, when they're in Budapest, when she's up there fighting her sister because they couldn't trust each other. She didn't know if she was still with them or not. Which, by the way, if you'll see the movie, that there's this dust serum that's going around to where if you crack it open and the Black Widow's get a whiff of this, it cuts the mind control from what's the bad guy's name?
I don't know. That was another problem. He was just like bad guy number 3.
But yeah,
he's the main bad guy. Right. It seems to undo the mind control, but not all of it.
He was mentioned in the first Avengers movie by Loki when Loki was in the cell and he was talking about Drake. I think it's Dreykov's. I think his name Dreykov's, something like that.
Yeah,
Dreykov's
I didn't
daughter.
think the character was very memorable. Yeah.
The woman chasing her on the roof, and like she's going through this. They're trying to jump and everything. The woman falls from the same height that Scarlett Johansson falls from. And Scarlett Johansson's hitting all this stuff. Black, blue, black, blue, black. Falling down all the way to the ground. And she lands like a cat.
I mean, yeah. I think her jumping out of the exploding red room and all the debris. I mean, I feel like all the debris would have been like bullets. It would have killed her.
Bullets and cutting up everybody. Yeah. I'm like, jeez, and you know, it's just. I mean, I'm not bagging on this movie, okay? Because I do appreciate the fact that Marvel is back in the theaters. But the part where she frees Taskmaster, which, by the way, Taskmaster is in this movie. It's a big reveal. I'm gonna go ahead and say it because Taskmaster's not who they're supposed to be. They did a gender swap. I'm pretty sure some of the comic book fans are gonna be pissed off about this, and it's actually Dreykov's daughter that Black Widow was saying that she had a hard time thinking that she killed her when she was like a little girl in this bomb in the attempt to kill him to prove to Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. that she's not with them anymore.
Right. She sacrificed Taskmaster when Taskmaster was a little girl, but apparently the little girl survived and blah 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 blah. And none of this stuff bothered me. Again, like if people are upset about this, to me, I think they are just revealing like an inner bias that they just want everybody to be white guys. There's no problem with that. I don't know. Who cares?
I don't have a problem with that. My problem is this: when she thinks that her sister blew herself up when she killed Dragoff, and she's like, no, she jumps. Where the hell did that one random parachute come from?
Yeah. I was like, I guess she's more or less committing suicide right now. Because how does she know she's going to survive this? I know she's going to survive because she showed up in the next movie. Yeah. But she doesn't know that. But her surviving things that necessarily she shouldn't survive. None of that really broke the movie for me. I was okay with that. I mean, this is still, an Avengers style movie. And while yes, her being hit directly by a rocket was kind of jarring. I'm like, okay. The rest of it didn't bother me.
Came out of nowhere because there was people in the theater like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was like, I was suspicious in the moment. I was like, something's gonna happen, and then a rocket came. I was like, damn, all right. But I will say, I was disappointed. The things that did bother me was
tell me some things that bothered you, man.
I thought we'd learn a lot more about the Red Room and the Black Widows than we did. I feel like we learned virtually nothing, and they alluded to a lot more in Age of Ultron. But with the flashbacks, but here we didn't really learn anything new. And then the Black Widows that survived, they just kind of went away. They just kind of walked off into the sunset. And I'm like, all right, I guess.
So okay, they're gonna have independent lives and have well, they can't have babies because they're all,
sterilized.
And they rip out all of your reproductive organs. They just get right in there.
Okay.
So you can't have babies.
Okay, you don't have to get so clinical and nasty.
But I guess they did kind of insinuate that some of the Black Widow technology has gotten out because we saw the Power Broker use that face swap thing. Was it Falcon and the Winter Soldier? So clearly she got her hands on some of the Black Widow technology. But again, I thought we would learn more about her experience growing up, and we learn more about the Black Widows, which we didn't. And because I was kind of surprised that the opening montage skipped so far ahead. I didn't realize it was going to take place again after Civil War and before Infinity War. Although I really did like the opening montage. I really like the music a lot.
You like the music? Get out of here.
Yeah, the opening, the smells of Teen Spirit. That was great.
No. I understand that people are like, okay, when they change this song, people, is Nirvana Smells Like Teen Spirit. Come on, it's a classic rock anthem. Okay, grunge rock anthem, and they took it to the sad, dreary woman that's talking about you see the imagery on the screen of like this girl human trafficking type of stuff, and it is very sad, and I get it, and it's interpreted that way, but I want my song to stay the same. Okay?
Yeah, I didn't mind it. The only time I have a problem with that is when they do it for like the trailers, like, you know, remember like for the New Mutants, they did that the same thing where they slowed down like the pop song. Like, we don't need no. What's the song that was for?
Yeah, we can't sing it, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I liked it. I liked the song, and I thought it set the tone pretty well. I was like, okay, cool, and it matched the year that the
it did.
The montage was going.
Match the year.
It was happening in the 90s, so I don't know. It fit to me. It fit really well, and I was like, oh, okay, we're getting off to an interesting start. But the rest of the film wasn't quite as stylistic as that opening montage would have you think, but I still really enjoyed it. And I was surprised at how big of a role that Rachel Weisz. She's the wife of James Bond. Yeah, she's married to Daniel Craig. But
that's right.
yeah, she is. I was surprised that she had such a big role.
I know her as the counterpart to Noxima Noon from The Mummy.
Oh, yes, in The Mummy. Who's the Noxima Noon in The Mummy? Who's that?
Noxima Noon.
Is that the Mummy?
That was the Mummy's wife, and she was mummified, remember? And then she embodied a Noxima Noon because he was looking for her.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. I just didn't recognize the name. I'm like, I don't know who that is. But yes, she was in The Mummy.
She was Brendan Fraser's wife in the movie.
Exactly. Did not memorize The Mummy from 2003 or whenever year it came out, so.
I liked it.
But yeah, me too. That was an awesome movie back in the day.
Yeah. The special effects is kind of now.
They were great at the time, and I think that's all that matters.
You look on that shit on a HD or OLED, whatever TV, you'd be like, yeah.
That's all right. That's okay. All movies, I think Marvel movies in particular, will age horrifically. They're gonna look absolutely atrocious later, but that's okay. They looked good at the time. They don't bother me at the time. That's fine. The Mummy looked great at the time. Actually, I remember thinking that cloud thing looked fantastic at the time. I was like, wow. But now, of course, it looks like garbage compared to everything else. But I think people, spend too much time talking about special effects and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, who cares? Special effects will always age. They always age. But anyway.
You think she did a good job?
Yeah, I thought she did awesome. And I was surprised that she had such a big role.
Yeah. I like how they did a little switcheroo. Where they had the face mask and stuff, the technology. There was a flaw in this movie when it comes to how to kill Dreykov, whatever his name was. Because Black Widow, the whole reason for them to be able to get there, and Rachel Weisz's character, the mom, she calls the Black Widows to the house to basically like pretend to arrest them, and they switched the faces because she built the cells.
She took her face off.
It's a deep cut, people. Watch that video. Because she built the cells. So she knew she was going to be able to be locked up in, and then Black Widow can go see Dreykov and stuff like that. But I'm like, the thing is like, she tried to kill him with a gun. Couldn't do it. Try to kill him with a knife. Couldn't do it. The reason being is because this dude has pheromones coming off of him that all the Black Widows, if they come within the feet of him, they wouldn't be able to kill him because they'll be able to smell his pheromones, which is good. But just like the dude that's over there in Coming to America, aha. He could just be a distance in the whole ship, and you could shoot him from across the room if you wanted to. That's a writing flaw.
They could just snipe him. Yeah, snipe him across the room.
That is
done.
A writing flaw.
But I guess because he's always like in the clouds, and the red room now, I guess it flies. I'm like, okay, I feel that was kind of weird. Mm-hmm. But if the guy never leaves his hideout, which it's insinuated he does not ever leave it, you can't snipe him unless you're in an airplane or something.
Okay,
so
Well, tell me,
it kind of works.
Tell me with Florence Pugh's character when they're out of the ship and they're going into the helicarrier so he can try to escape. Even though he left his fucking ring there, and
no, he didn't leave it.
She stole it.
She took it.
She took it, yeah. And Florence Pugh was on the top of the thing, and she's like, "I miss you. It's been fun," or something like that. She sticks the freaking thing in the jet engine to blow everyone up and blow him up. She was close to him then.
Yeah, but see, that was the flaw. That was the flaw for me with it. I'm like, in the scene where Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow, is trying to shoot him, I'm like, why doesn't she just like shoot the desk? He's sitting behind the desk, shoot the desk, the bullet would hit him, you're done, right? So yeah, I think there are
so you think it was gonna be like a ricochet off the desk?
No, the bullet would just go through the desk and hit him. She just would have been shot through the desk. I'm like, I would have aimed for the desk and the bullet would have just gone through him. But again, these kind of things, I think you do have to allow for grace for the movie to continue to go. And it's like, fine. There is no such thing as a perfect movie. You can nitpick The Godfather if you wanted to.
I knew you were gonna say Godfather. I knew you were gonna say Godfather.
Because I think Godfather's
How about Heat? Say Heat.
You can definitely nitpick Heat. A little slow. But I love that movie though. I love it. Excellent movie. One of my favorite films. But you can definitely nitpick Heat. But you can nitpick anything to death, right? So it's okay if everything's not like perfect. It's fine. I don't care. I'm not here to see a documentary. I'm not here to see some kind of like realistic thing. I'm here to be entertained. It's entertaining that I thought he could be shot immediately. Turns out he can't. Fine. Okay. Fine. That doesn't bother me. Her surviving the rocket, a little weird, but fine. These things don't break the film for me. Effects not being 100% perfect, fine. You'll never find a film like that. So these things don't bother me. What does bother me are like each film to me has to make sense within its own universe, right? Internally, it's got to make some sort of internal sense. And the pheromone thing makes internal sense. I'm fine. I'm okay. I'll survive. And you will be surprised to find how many films can't do that. Can't make any internal sense. So if this film does, okay. Great.
Okay. I mean, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at the film either for doing what it did. I enjoyed.
But it wasn't perfect. I agree.
Yeah, it wasn't perfect. Do you know what this movie reminded me of? A Paul Greengrass film.
Oh, like a Bourne film. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. And see, I thought this film also would be a little more spy heavy, but it was a lot more action heavy. It was more like a straight up shootouts type of film rather than like espionage and spy stuff, which is what I was expecting. But I did like the costumes a lot. I think this is her best Black Widow costume to me. I like the black and the white. Yeah. Awesome.
I'm gonna go ahead and give my rating for this film. With the action being very, very well, with Scarlett Johansson's swan song, that it seems like this is gonna be her swan song. This is it. But you never know. Feige said no one's really ever dead in this universe, and as we see on Loki, literally no one's ever dead.
Yeah, exactly. They've killed Loki at least 5 times, and he's got a TV show, so it's okay.
So, and the fact that Florence Pugh is the best part of this movie for me, hands down, with her acting. I'm going to give this movie an 8.5 out of 10.
Awesome. I'm going to give this movie an 8. I thought it was really good. This isn't like top tier Marvel, but I do think this is a good way to start Phase 4. I really loved Florence Pugh. I thought she was hilarious, and super like, that's just, her character was great.
What are you doing with this pose here? You're a total poser.
Right. You act like everyone's looking at you all the time. That was great.
Line, great.
Taskmaster, I thought could have been better. I would like to see more of Taskmaster.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, like I said earlier, since Taskmaster has the exact same power set as Echo, and Echo is a woman, and this time we find out Taskmaster is a woman, that same actress could be Echo in the future. It's the exact same power.
Someone else could pick up Taskmaster roots.
Exactly. So again, like these kind of things, especially if like maybe they do more with Taskmaster in the future, don't bother me. I would like to see more in this film from that character. And I didn't like the design of the helmet. Oh, the helmet looked terrible, like a motorcycle thing.
Sure did.
I didn't like the design. Yeah, I wasn't into that. But the character could have been better. But these kind of things, they didn't tear the movie down for me. I liked the humor from David Harbour. I liked seeing Rachel Weisz. That was a great movie. I really enjoyed it. And like you said earlier, I like the themes, like the family themes. Of it, that's smart. I thought it was clever. So I give it an 8. Solid 8 for me.
From now on, we're gonna call family themes in movies to Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel. Well, this definitely was a Vin Diesel. Oh, but we didn't talk about the post-credit thing.
You guys, go check this movie out and stay till the end. As you know, with Marvel movies, there's either one end credit scene or two. Do not get up like some of the people in my theater. They haven't seen a Marvel movie in 2 years and they probably forgot. Don't go nowhere because there's something very important at the end of this. Check it out. It's going to lead into, I would believe, a Disney Plus series, but who knows?
Oh, well, you've already said more than I was going to say. I'm going to talk about it because I got a little point to make.
Oh, come on!
So there's a character that shows up at the end credit scene. I won't give details about what happened, but this character was supposed to show up. This was supposed to be her big debut, but as we know, that character played by Julian Dreyfus, her debut was actually in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And you can tell that this feels like the introduction to a character. So I thought it was a little funky where I'm like, oh, we already know who this lady is. Why is she like reintroducing herself? And I'm like, oh, right. This is where we're supposed to see her for the first time. But because this movie got delayed, the first time we saw her was at the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So I feel like they might have fumbled that character a bit out the gate. But I am interested to see what happens with her moving forward.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's some seeding of, I don't know, I didn't think it was that interesting. I thought it was boring. I'm like, who cares? They set up a thing, and I'm like, so what? It's I'm like, what a waste of a post. I waited through the whole post credits for a character I've already seen, and for them to set up something that I don't care about. I'm like,
well, people, that is his mostly wrong opinion, okay? So you guys make up your own.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's temporary. We know that the post-credit scene sets two characters up in opposition, and I'm like, well, so what? Who cares? They're not going to be in opposition forever. So like, that means they're going to hug and shake hands at some point. So I'm like, that has no consequence, and that's a point that I wanted to make about these Avengers films, and this film continues that trend. These films have no consequence between each film, right? Something will happen in one film, but doesn't really carry over in any meaningful way moving forward. And so, like the setup between these two characters being in opposition, I'm like, well, who cares? Because they're gonna reverse it. It's gonna be reversed. I think it's gonna be reversed in under an hour when it in the reveal. So I'm like, why waste my time?
And if it's in the Disney Plus episode, it's going to be one episode.
Yeah, exactly. A single episode. It'll be like the Cloud episode where we just saw, where one person fights a cloud and you're just like, all right. Like Loki. Yeah. What's really notable about this film is this is now the new #1 film of 2021. It beat out F9 in, I think, a clever way. And I think this should be, if the movie industry can get their head out the ass, this should be the future, I think, of film. So F9 made $70,000,
right?
$70 million in the theater. This one made $80 million in the theater, beating it, but it made an extra $60 million via Disney Plus.
Exactly.
And so that's a revenue stream that F9 did not have. And all that combined, plus the overseas money, it made over $200 million, which is like a regular hit. That's like pre-pandemic numbers.
Yeah.
And they did that, while there are still some theaters unopened, while some people don't want to go to theaters. I think that is so smart to give people an option to see the movie. If they want to go to the theater to see it, go for it. If they don't want to see it, if they're not comfortable seeing it, if they want to see it online, do your thing. That's something F9 did not do, and Disney was smart enough to do that, and they mopped the floor with them.
Universal,
very clever.
They greedy.
Yeah.
Universal's
but
greedy,
they're greed
can lead to being dumb.
Exactly. They lost a whole avenue of revenue stream. So I think that was very clever, very smart. And this was apparently the number 3 origin story film for Marvel, behind Black Panther and I can't remember what number 2 is, but it did really well.
Probably Guardians, maybe, right?
Was it Guardian? I can't remember, but it did really well.
Devin gave this movie a 8. I gave it an 8.5, and that is our review / spoiler for Black Widow. That's the show, everyone. Thank you for clicking on this video and watching our reviews, and we really appreciate it. If you can do us a favor, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with everything we do on Mostly Wrong Opinions. We're climbing the board here on subscribers, and you guys have really been helping us out. We really appreciate it. Put a lot of stuff into this video as you guys watch it, so we thank you very much. Please check out our Loki video. Episode 5 is already up right now. Episode 6 is probably being edited by me. so check that out. And
get to work, Tyrone.
I know. But once again, my name is Tyrone, and you can find me on my Instagram, my band's Instagram, which is Yerp_ATL. You can also find me on my video game Twitch. I haven't been twitching really too much. I've been editing and filming stuff, but you can find me on my Twitch, twitch.tv/YerpNationGaming. I play everything there. And you can find me on Yerp Nation Reactions. I've been posting a ton of reactions on there. Thank you to the people who've been subscribing there. I think I'm over like 230 subscribers. Really cool, I guess. Thank you. That's really, really awesome. But you can find me right here on Mostly Wrong Opinions. All right?
Awesome. And my name is Devin. I have a personal Instagram at DevinHarris29. You can find some of my writing at GeekSleepRepeat.com. Me and Tyrone, we have a TikTok. It's called at Mostly Wrong Opinions. But mostly you can find me right here on YouTube at Mostly Wrong Opinions.
That's right, people. And do us a favor. You can hit the like button, or you can hit the dislike button, whichever one you want to do. Just remember, that is your opinion, but also remember that it's mostly wrong. You guys have a good day. Bing, 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 bing. I don't know.
Okay.
Bye.
Damn, Tyrone. That's why you couldn't find the COVID coin, man.
I looked everywhere. I looked in my shoebox. I looked in where the place where Kel lost the screw and the tuna. I looked everywhere, man. Kobe!
Kobe! Yeah. Oh, well. Maybe next time, man.
Where is it?